This is Lance at the My Four Sons warehouse, and for the next few minutes we want to describe to you hoses and connections. All right, on the table we've laid out the generations of hoses and connections that have happened since the beginning of the business. This first hose shows two barb connectors, M18 1x1.5. They're both threaded connectors, so one threaded end screws directly onto the pump, and the other end screws directly onto the valve. And so we've got several valves, plastic valves. Okay, for Generation 2 hose, notice we've got the same, we've left one of the screw-on connectors, black adapters, on one end of the hose, but on the other end we've replaced a black adapter with this nylon male quick release piece. And so, and in addition to that, we've added a strain relief hose with a female. And so this end now screws onto the end of the pump, and this end now, the other end is a female, and it just slips onto the male if we can fit it in there. And so that's Generation 2, and that enables easier storage, gives you rotational degree of freedom. It also protects the pump head from breaking off. Okay, so the next two hose types are associated with pistols. And in other words, the first two sets were all plastic, and we did that because that's the most versatile for chemistry, acids, bleaches, solvents, and so forth. If you are going to start using the quick release system with your pistols, though, we ship this extra hose with either of the two pistols, the pressure washer or the Pro pistol, and we ship it with the original male nylon quick release, but at the other end is a brass female, and that brass female could either be a male or female, and then you match that with the associated quick release. So again, to attach it to the pump, here's the M18 female that screws onto the end of the pump. Same connection as the Generation 2, but on the other side is a brass connector, and I'll show you. This is the female that matches that, and to use it you just screw that in. And of course, now this female brass quick release will either connect to this style male, depending on the threads on the other end, or this style male. Okay, so this is Generation 4 hose, and you'll notice that this has two brass connectors. And this is, of course, the previous model that we showed is a hybrid, which gives you a brass connection to the pistol and a nylon connection to the pump, to the strain relief hose. This one, on the other hand, is 100% brass for people who know they will never use acids or bleaches. And of course, we'll just show how these connect. In this case, they're both female brass barb adapters, and so we would use two. Actually, one of these ends will be a male, so you want to end up with a male and a female on the same hose. And so now this is a brass quick release on the strain relief hose, which is different than the last version. And this is actually very popular with professionals. They're converting over to these just for speed. They're very quick to change out, and they have very, very nice rotational degrees of freedom. If you want to convert version 1 of the hose to version 2, you simply remove this barb from one end of the hose, and you slip on either an Oetiker hose clamp or a standard hose clamp, Phillips hose clamp. Push this in, tighten it down, and that gets you to this version. Of course, that needs to be accompanied by a strain relief hose with a female on the end, on both ends. To convert the all-plastic quick release and screw type hose to a hybrid quick release brass with a quick release nylon, you simply remove the nylon barb and replace it with either the female thread brass barb or the male brass barb on this end. And that's how you end up with what we have here. Then of course, just to show you the final assembly, is you take the female quick release, screw that in. And of course, if this thread is a male, then you'll use the male quick release. To convert the version 3 hose hybrid, you got a nylon male, brass female quick release. To convert that to 100% brass, it's simply now you remove the male nylon and replace it with either, again, a female barb brass or a male brass barb. And of course, you'll want to put the hose clamp and Oetiker or a standard on the hose first. And it does require, and by the time you get to 100% brass, we're going to show the final assembly. So this has 2 females, so we'll screw the male into the female on that end, and we will screw the female into the female. And your strain relief hose will look like this. We'll have an accompanying female brass receptacle. So we'll just do the final, show you how all these assemblies look. Of course, these thread on to the outputs of the pump. They're M18 by 1.5. And the very first version had no strain relief. So version 2, 3, and 4 all have strain relief, but versions 2 to 3 have the nylon quick release, and the final version has the brass quick release. And these last 2 brass are appropriate for the pistols. The first 2 are more appropriate for the plastic valve handles for acids and bleaches.